Hey, what's up, guys? It's Bakes here, and thank you for joining me for day number 11 of my 31 Days of Horror. This is where I'm watching and reviewing 31 different horror movies over 31 days, all through the month of October till I get to Halloween. Today's movie is a zomcom, a zomcom with a whole heap of action in it as well, from the year 2009. It's one that I'm sure a lot of people do know, or at least are aware of, because it had a lot of mainstream success. Today's movie is 2009's Zombieland. Now, as usual, before I get into my thoughts of this movie, let's go into the plot for this one. So, in this film, we follow Jesse Eisenberg's character, which is given the name of Columbus, where he is living in a world that has now been overtaken by zombies, or at least people infected. I'm not going to get into that debate if it's a zombie film or an infected film. The movie's called Zombieland, so I'm just going to run with world taken over by zombies. He's trying to get from A to B while giving us a meta perspective on what it's like living in a zombie movie, I guess, and he's got all these rules that you have to follow, and it's really cool. During his journey, he meets a group of other people, and they end up forming this relationship, I guess, and yeah, that's pretty much the plot that we have for our movie. Let's get into my thoughts of 2009 Zombieland. I already feel like this is going to be one of my shorter reviews for this year's 31 Days of Horror because, to not beat around the bush, this is a movie that I really do enjoy, and I don't think it's a secret that a lot of other people really enjoy this movie as well. As I said, it's quite popular, and it is a mainstream movie that had a lot of success. And I think the reasons why a lot of people really enjoy this movie isn't really a secret, because everything that's enjoyable about it, it just wears on its sleeve. It balances a lot of different themes and subgenres really well. You know, it's got the horror of a zombie apocalypse. It's got plenty of great action as well. The comedy, I know a lot of people are going to be saying it's actually more comedy than horror. I think it's split pretty 50-50 and does a really good job of that. And for a concept as bleak as a zombie apocalypse, it has a lot of feel-good moments and themes and scenes in it as well. This is just a really enjoyable and entertaining movie, and we're in a world where there's no shortage of zombie comedies coming out. It feels like, especially now in modern times, there's like one or two a year. And they're always differing in quality, and you know, some are more enjoyable than others. But I really feel like Zombieland set the benchmark of like how good a zomcom can really be. Because as I said, it has all these different themes and subgenres going for it, and it just balances them out all really well. Obviously, there's other ones on that pinnacle, regardless of how you feel about them. You know, Shaun of the Dead is definitely up there as well. But to me, I feel like Zombieland really is the pinnacle of it, and obviously it had a lot of mainstream success, and a lot of people, you know, are going to be saying that I'm stating the obvious, but it just does all these elements really, really well. Starting with the comedy, as I said, it has this meta nature about it. It pretty much, you know, breaks the fourth wall and puts you into a zombie movie. You know, you have Jesse Eisenberg's character playing Columbus, and he's got these rules on how to survive these movies, and it doesn't break stereotypes, it doesn't break tropes, but it immerses you in this world with all these rules and everything, and it makes it fun, it makes it fresh. These cast of characters, you know, they're all really entertaining in their own right, and look at the cover here and look at the names at the top. It is a star-studded cast. Maybe they weren't quite the names that we know them now. You know, back in 2009, I think Jesse Eisenberg would have just come off the back of The Social Network, if I've got my timeline correct. Emma Stone definitely wasn't the star that she is now, but she was up and coming. Abigail Breslin, I think, you know, her biggest role before this was Little Miss Sunshine. I think the only one that was established enough was Woody Harrelson, but they all play like really engaging characters. They all have really good chemistry with each other. I think this is like a really, really solid cast, and it's not a cast that is stacked either. It's pretty much just these four characters and zombies, but yet it's still so entertaining from the start. Right from the word go. You know, I've went through the meta nature and how all that is really well done, but the horror isn't lacking either. You know, it's got some really intense moments, some heart-pounding horror, some really cool chase sequences, but it makes it fun and entertaining, and it never feels bleak or boring. The action is also really up there, and I think the action shines through on some like really cool set pieces as well. You know, you've got the finale within this amusement park. I mean, you've got a scene that takes place at Bill Murray's house, you know, so that's really entertaining as well. I just think this movie does a lot of things right, and I think it kind of is the pinnacle that all zombie comedies are trying to reach in a certain sense. Yes, there's zombie comedies doing it a different way. You know, some can be a little bit more subdued, taking a more simple approach and whatever. But I just see so many movies that are zomcoms, with action elements coming out, and I can just tell, I'm like, they're trying to do Zombieland. They're trying to break that meta mold, break the fourth wall, do what this movie's doing, but they just can't quite make it there. Like I said, I really don't have much else to say. It's not a perfect movie, but like, fuck, it's really entertaining. I don't really think there's too much to take notes on. If you want to watch a movie and be entertained for 85 minutes, like, this movie just flies by. Really enjoyable time. Like I said, it's a mainstream enough movie where I feel like, even if you haven't seen it, you would have heard of this movie and you would have heard a lot of people praising it. I'm going to give Zombieland from 2009, going to give it like an 8 out of 10. Like, it is just really solid. Like I said, maybe you have different preferences in comedy or storytelling where, as I said, you might like Shaun of the Dead more, or there's so many different comedies out there that you can choose from. But I really do feel like if you want a taste from so many different subgenres and themes and everything, Zombieland's got a bit of everything. It's got the gore and the thrills and the excitement and scares of horror. It's got the action. It's got a cast of characters that are all just really enjoyable, have really good chemistry. It's just got a bit of everything for everyone, and it does it all really, really well. So that's all I pretty much want to say about this movie. Like, I knew as soon as this movie was done and I've come upstairs to do this review, I'm like, I can pretty much sum this up in a few sentences. It's going to be one of my shorter reviews. As I said, everyone knows this movie, which I think helps. But yeah, just really enjoyable, a bit for everyone. Zombieland from 2009. Thank you for joining me for day number 11 of my 31 Days of Horror. And I'll see you tomorrow for day number 12. If I remember what movie's coming up, I do remember that it's going to be a quite a big change of tone, but hopefully you enjoy tomorrow's episode. Remember, let me know in the comments if you are following along with my 31 Days of Horror. And reminder, this year I have put out a lineup of movies that we're doing on each day. So if you want to keep up with me and watch the movies as I do, let me know in the comments below and I'll send you a link for the list that I'm doing for this year's 31 days. But I'll see you tomorrow for day number 12, and stay safe, everyone. Peace.